My name is Alara Voss, 27 years old. At 5:42 a.m., my Portland apartment smelled like bad fish and bleach, and I lay curled on the bathroom floor, cheek pressed to cool tile, bargaining with the ceiling. The worst cramps had ebbed to a mean, rolling nausea, the kind that let you think you were okay until it rose up again and tried to fold you in half. My phone kept buzzing on the bath mat, group text with my family lighting like a slot machine. Mom, Dad, Julie. I'd already texted, food poisoning, I need help, please. A glass of water sweated on the sink, untouched. The mirror had fogged and cleared so many times in the night, it looked like it had given up on having a single opinion of me. I peeled myself up, sat on the edge of the tub, and breathed slow. 1 breath in, 2 breaths out. When the buzzing paused, I thumbed the screen with clammy hands. No replies, just red receipts marching back like tiny polished shoes. My mother's face hovered in my head the way it does when you're sick and vulnerable. A practiced soft smile, the kind she wore for Christmas photos and people she wanted favors from. Sweetheart, everything's going to be fine, her voice cooed in memory. My stomach lurched like it knew better. At 6:03, I texted again. Mom, I need help getting to urgent care. Please call. No call came. The apartment sank into that gray Portland morning quiet where even the gulls seemed hungover. I shuffled to the kitchenette, palms on the counter. The string lights over the sink, cheap, warm, the only brave thing I'd bought when I moved in alone, cast a syrupy glow over a sink full of dishes. Something felt wrong in a way that wasn't just my body, like a window left open in the next room or a door not latched. I picked up my phone to distract myself and tapped my banking app. The number where my savings should have been didn't make sense at first because my brain kept trying to replace it with the old comfort. 15,000, I told myself, as if I could will it back by reciting it. The screen, unbothered, displayed $0. Below it, a politely cheerful bar graph I wanted to throw at the wall. I refreshed again. My thumb trembled, the motion jerky. I swiped to my credit card account. The charges lined up like a taunt. PDX, LAX, first class, $2,018.64. The standard Hollywood suite, $3,042.90. Premier VIP access, $1,199. Rooftop dinner, reservation for 3, $508.77. I stared until the numbers fuzzed. The nausea pulled back and left a scalding, buzzing hush in its place. It wasn't just the money, it was the choreography. Flights, suite, VIP, dinner. A night out that could only happen if you believed life was a movie and other people's bank accounts were props. I dialed my mother. She answered on the second ring with a voice oiled and sunny. Alara, sweetheart, you're up so early. My savings are gone, I said. My voice surprised me. It was flat, less tremble than steel. 15,000, and my card's maxed on flights and a Hollywood hotel. Did you do this? A pause, then a little laugh, like a bubble popping. Oh, honey, calm down. There's probably a mix-up with the bank. These things... I'm looking at the transactions, I said, heat rising up my neck. Flights to Los Angeles. The standard. VIP premiere. A rooftop dinner for 3. I didn't add while I was on the bathroom floor trying not to pass out. I didn't need to. Her tone shifted, silk stiffening into wire. We needed it for the event. You weren't using it lying around sick. We'll sort it out later. Don't be dramatic. The word needed slid over me like a greasy hand. You didn't ask. We're family, she said, as if that were a promissory note I'd signed with my birth. You help family. My vision tightened at the edges. I could feel myself sliding toward a place where I said everything too fast and too true and couldn't take any of it back. You stole from me. She sighed the way she sighs at waiters who get her order wrong. We borrowed it. We'll pay you back. Don't make a scene, Alara. I hung up before I said something I would taste later like metal. The phone chimed almost immediately. My sister, Julie. Perfect timing. What now? Her text read. I called. Are you actually calling to nag us while we're networking? She answered. Laugh sharp enough to shave with. You drained my savings, I said, and maxed my card. Borrowed, she corrected, stretching the word until it snapped. You get so obsessed with your little stash. Maybe try being generous for once. It's rent. It's stability. It's my life. Oh my God, Alara, she said, sweet with poison. We'll pay you back when we get back. Stop embarrassing yourself. I pictured her in a dress I probably paid for, phone angled to catch the right light, the mouth tilt that got her drinks comped. I remembered how, when we were kids, she'd yank the head off my Barbie just to watch me try to fix it. I ended the call to the sound of her laughing. The apartment sharpened in focus as if someone had pulled the lens. The thrift store lamp, the plant I'd almost killed and then nursed back to life, the sticky note on the fridge that said, "Buy toilet paper," in my own handwriting. My life, so ordinary and carefully built it could make your teeth ache. I sat at the table and opened my laptop. My body begged for rest. My anger kept me upright. I changed every password, locked my accounts, set fraud alerts like sandbags. I pulled statements, exported CSVs, lined transactions up like evidence on a detective's wall. I told myself it was about getting control, but the truth had claws. If I stopped working the problem, I'd have to feel it. At 10:17 a.m., my phone lit up with my boss's name, David Hall at Westmere Creative, the kind of man who wore navy like an oath and brought the same salad every day. "Alara," he said, brisk, "we have a problem with Thompson. You sent a proposal that's completely off brief. They're threatening to walk." My mouth went dry. "I didn't send anything. I swallowed the phrase violently sick. "I've been offline." "It came from your email," he replied, cool. "Inflated budget, strange creative. If this is a joke, it's not funny." "It's not a joke," I said. "Send me the header data." "We're investigating," he said, "but get here, now." When the call ended, I stared at my reflection in the black screen of the microwave. I looked like myself in a horror movie. Same hair, same eyes, but wrong underneath. Julie had worked in PR for a year before she torched her bridge there because torching things made her feel powerful. She knew enough to be dangerous. I texted my best friend, Shannon. "They drained my accounts. Also think Jay hacked my work email." She responded before the typing dots could even gather themselves. "Come over. Bring laptop. We're going fishing." By noon, I was at her kitchen table, wrapped in one of her ugly soft cardigans, watching her fingers fly. Shannon was a journalist with a face that made people confess and a brain that made machines cough up what they didn't want to. She pulled server logs like she was tugging a thread. "There," she said, tilting the screen. "Outgoing from your account yesterday at 3:11 p.m. IP geolocates to..." "Los Angeles," I said, not surprised, so much as confirmed. She looked at me. "They're not done." The part of me that always tried to make things smaller, safer, reasonable, shrank in the face of it. This wasn't about a weekend in Hollywood. It was about control. It had always been about control. Money was just a convenient leash. My phone buzzed again. This time, a push notification from my credit monitoring app. "New activity on your credit report." I clicked it with the numb feeling of a person opening a door they knew was on fire. A new account. A personal loan. "Please be a denial," I whispered, reading. It was approved. $5,000. My name, my social, my address. For a second, there was a knot sound in my head, like all the air had gone somewhere else. Shannon's hand landed on my wrist, a steady weight. I could hear my own heartbeat. I could hear the dryer in the next room tick like a cooling engine. I could hear the little scrape my front tooth made against my lip when I pressed too hard. "This isn't a family misunderstanding," Shannon said, voice low. "This is fraud." My phone lit with another text from Julie. "Stop freaking out about the money. You're embarrassing yourself." I stared at the words until they doubled. Then I typed back, fingers steady in a way that felt new. "You use my identity for a loan. That's a felony." No reply. Of course. I thought about calling my mother again, inviting her to tell me I was overreacting, to condescend me into silence. The desire to hear her voice and the desire to never hear it again wrestled each other to a draw. My body chose for me. Another roll of nausea, but this time the sickness wasn't the worst feeling. The worst feeling was the clarity. They had counted on me being too sick, too nice, too Alara to notice until it was too late. And that had been true for so long I had almost believed it forever. I closed my eyes, breathed in for 4, out for 6. "Okay," I said to Shannon, who was already opening a new document titled Evidence Family. "Okay." When I opened my eyes, the apartment in my head rearranged itself. Same string lights, same plant, same sticky note, but the door was no longer open. I felt it click. That quiet sound that means the lock caught. A hinge shifted in me. I took a screenshot of the loan. The approval date glared at me. Yesterday. I sent it to Shannon's shared folder. Then I pressed my thumbs to the corners of my phone until the screen shook, like it was bracing for what came next. Same as me. Shannon slid her laptop closer, her brows pulled into a frown that meant she was sharpening the blade of her logic. Ilara, this isn't clumsy. It's intentional. They're in Los Angeles. They're still using your info, and they don't care if you drown. I nodded, throat tight. The screen glowed between us like a crime scene photo. It's not just about money, I whispered. It's sabotage. By the time I made it to Westmere Creative, my legs still shaky from sickness, David Hall was waiting in the glass-walled conference room. The printout lay on the table, a red mark scrawled across the page like a wound. He gestured sharply. Explain this. The proposal, sent from my account to Thompson, the biggest account we had, was sloppy, inflated, disastrous. A stranger's fingerprints all over it. David, I didn't send this, I said. I forced my voice steady. Check the server logs. I haven't logged in since Friday. He studied me, eyes narrowed, skeptical. If you're telling the truth, we'll see it. But Thompson doesn't care about your excuses. Fix it, today. As I left his office, my chest ached with fury. Julie's voice echoed in my head from the night before, mocking, maybe you're not cut out for that big job. I gripped my phone so hard the edges pressed red lines into my palm and dialed her. She answered on the first ring, voice smug. What's up, little sis? Trouble at work? You hacked my email, I said, each word like stone. You sent that fake proposal. A sharp laugh, cruel enough to echo. Wow, paranoid much? Falling apart already? Cut the crap, Julie. My voice dropped, low and steel. You sabotaged me. A pause, then her tone turned cold, all veneer gone. You think you're better than us. Always the perfect one with your job and your little nest egg. You needed a reality check. Consider it done. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. She'd admitted it, not with fear, but with pride. You just confessed to corporate sabotage, I hissed. That's a crime, Julie. Whatever, her voice oozed disdain. You're nothing without us. Don't forget it. She hung up. I stared at the deadline, rage thrumming like electricity under my skin. I called my mother, desperation scraping my throat raw. Julie sabotaged my job, I said, words clipped. She sent a fake proposal. Thompson could walk. Ellen's voice was syrupy, fake concern wrapped in daggers. Oh, Ilara, you've been so stressed. Maybe you made a mistake. Don't blame your sister. I checked the logs, I snapped. It came from Los Angeles, from her. A sigh, exaggerated, heavy with false disappointment. Stop this. Families don't turn on each other. Julie would never... Stop lying for her, my voice cracked through the line. This is fraud, theft, sabotage. Her tone sharpened like a blade. You're embarrassing yourself. We're family. You owe us loyalty, not accusations. I hung up, chest heaving. My body shook, not with weakness this time, but with fury. That night, Shannon's apartment became a war room. Laptops open, evidence folders, stacking like ammo. She tapped keys, her face lit in blue glow. Here, she said, pointing. Server metadata. The email didn't come from your machine. It came from Los Angeles, Julie's IP. This is airtight. I leaned back, air rushing from my lungs, relief tangled with rage. She's trying to burn my life down from 1,000 miles away. Shannon's eyes met mine, steady. Then we bury her with the truth. My phone buzzed again. A new notification. I swiped it open. Another attempt at credit. This time blocked, thanks to the locks I'd set up. Same Los Angeles IP. They weren't just playing games. They were dismantling me, piece by piece. And for the first time in years, I felt something under the fear. A quiet, dangerous resolve. This isn't just survival anymore, I whispered. This is war. The knock came at dusk, when the apartment had settled into that hollow silence that makes every sound feel magnified. I knew before I even opened the door who it was. Ellen stood in the hallway, her coat draped theatrically over her shoulders, pearls at her throat like she was heading to a gala instead of ambushing her daughter. Julie leaned against the wall, arms crossed, smirk sharpened to a blade, and behind them, Charles, my father, hovered like a ghost, hands in his pockets, eyes avoiding mine. Sweetheart, Ellen said, voice sticky with syrup. We need to talk. I blocked the doorway with my body. There's nothing to talk about. You stole my money, maxed my card, took out a loan in my name, and Julie sabotaged my career. Julie laughed, sharp and cruel. Oh, please, you're being dramatic again. Always so fragile. Fragile? I shot back, my voice shaking with fury. You drained me dry while I was sick on the floor. You hacked my email. You've tried to destroy me. Ellen clutched her chest, staggering slightly. Stop this, she gasped. You're stressing me. My heart. She wavered like an actress missing her cue. For a split second, instinct flared. Memories of childhood nights where I'd run for aspirin and water, always the caretaker, always guilty if she winced. But then I caught Julie's eyes. The flicker of a smirk. The way she watched her mother's performance like a director pleased with her lead. Nice try, I said flatly. You don't get to fake a heart attack to control me. Ellen's face hardened, the performance dropping. Ungrateful girl. After everything we've done for you. My laugh cracked the hallway air. Everything you've done to me, you mean? Charles shifted, finally speaking, his voice rough like it hadn't been used in months. Alara, we didn't mean for it to go this far. I turned on him, ice in my tone. Didn't mean to what? Steal my savings? Let Julie wreck my job? You knew. You always knew. And you did nothing. His shoulders sagged, eyes fixed on the carpet. I knew about the money. I should have stopped it. The admission hit like a punch. Confirmation of what I'd always suspected but never wanted to hear. He'd been complicit through silence. You should have, I whispered, but you didn't. And now it's too late. Julie's smirk snapped back into place. Look at you, acting all powerful. You think this makes you tough? You're nothing without us. I pulled out my phone, my thumb hovering over 911. Try me, I said. Steady now. You've got 10 seconds to leave before I call the cops for theft, fraud, and trespassing. Ellen's eyes widened. You wouldn't dare. 10. Charles tugged at her sleeve, panic flashing in his eyes. Ellen, let's go. This isn't worth it. 9. Julie's voice dripped venom. Pathetic. 5. Ellen grabbed her purse, fury twisting her face. You'll regret this, she hissed. 2. They turned, Ellen's heels striking the hall like gunshots. Julie glared over her shoulder, her hatred a tangible weight. Charles trailed last, a shadow of a man, not daring to look back. When the door slammed behind them, my hands trembled, but not with fear, with adrenaline, with clarity. The silence that followed wasn't suffocating anymore. It was freedom. I leaned against the door, heart pounding, and texted Shannon with steady fingers. They were here. I stood my ground. Now help me end this. Her reply came back in seconds. Good. Time to bury them with the truth. By the next morning, my apartment had transformed into a command center. Shannon arrived, with coffee strong enough to wake the dead and her laptop under one arm. Today, she said, dropping into the chair opposite me, we stopped playing defense. We started with the evidence. Bank statements showing the drained savings and maxed card, screenshots of the fraudulent $5,000 loan. Server logs proving the hacked email to Thompson had come from a Los Angeles IP. Each piece slid into a shared folder labeled in bold, Truth. You sure you want to go public? Shannon asked, eyes scanning mine. I thought about Ellen's pearls, Julie's smirk, Charles's silence, the way they'd turned my life into their personal ATM and then called me ungrateful for protesting, the way they'd rehearse manipulation like a family trade. Yes, I said, voice steady. If I keep this in the dark, they'll win again. So, we posted. On Instagram first, with screenshots of transactions, credit alerts, and Julie's Los Angeles IP stamped in black and white. The caption read, My family stole $15,000 of my savings, took out a loan in my name, and hacked my work email to sabotage my career. Here's the proof. On LinkedIn, I wrote a longer version, professional and cold. This isn't just a family issue. It's financial abuse and identity theft. If you've ever been told to stay silent for the sake of family loyalty, know that silence only protects abusers. By noon, my phone vibrated nonstop. Comments flooded in. Stay strong, Alara. You're not alone. Cut them off for good. This is financial abuse, plain and simple. A colleague from Seattle reshared my post with the tag, Alara fights back. For the first time in weeks, I felt the weight shift. Not gone, but redistributed. I wasn't carrying it alone anymore. Of course, Ellen and Julie struck back. Julie posted a story. Tears streaked down her face, painting herself as the victim. Alara's lying for attention. She's always been selfish. Ellen followed with a long Facebook post accusing me of abandoning them, spinning a narrative where I was the cruel daughter who refused to help her struggling family. Their words stung, but I'd expected it. I screenshotted everything, tucking their gaslighting into my evidence folder. At the office, though, the storm still brewed. David Hall called me into the conference room. His jaw was tight, his voice clipped. Thompson's threatening to pull out. They don't care who sent it. They just see your name. I placed the printed server logs on the table. It wasn't me. The email came from Los Angeles. I was in Portland, in bed with food poisoning. Someone hacked my account. David studied me, skepticism softening into reluctant belief. If you're telling the truth, prove it, and fix the proposal, tonight. As I left, my pulse thundered. I wasn't just fighting for my money anymore. My career, the only thing I'd built without them, was dangling by a thread. Back at my desk, Shannon's text lit my phone. Ignore their noise. Focus. Every bully hates daylight. We've got this. I glanced at the window. Outside, Portland's rain streaked the glass. But for the first time, it didn't look gray. It looked like a cleanse. I opened my laptop, pulled up the Thompson account, and whispered to myself, they wanted war. Fine. I'll show them what war looks like. The office air felt electric, charged with doubt and whispers, but I shut it out and planted myself in front of my laptop. The Thompson account was bleeding out on the table, and if I couldn't revive it, months of work would vanish, and with it, the one part of my life untouched by my family's hands. Ryan Keller, one of the junior strategists, slid into the chair beside me. Heard about the mess, he murmured, his tone cautious but steady. I checked the server logs myself. You weren't lying. That email came straight out of Los Angeles. I looked up, relief almost breaking through my control. You'll back me? He nodded. Already did. Told David. The team's behind you. He gave me a faint smile. We saw your post. Took guts. You're not alone in this. Something inside me unclenched. For so long, I'd been the family's secret vault, the one who absorbed their chaos and never spoke. Now, strangers and colleagues knew, and instead of recoiling, they were standing closer. We rebuilt the pitch side by side, line by line. By evening, the revised proposal was polished, airtight, and better than the original ever was. We sent it off, then sat in silence as the rain tapped the windows like an impatient audience. At 8:47 p.m., Thompson replied, "We're satisfied with the revisions. We'll continue the partnership." I exhaled, trembling with relief. My job was safe, for now. On the bus ride home, I stared at my phone until the words blurred. A new text had come in, this one from Charles, my father. "Alara, I'm sorry. I knew what they were doing, and I didn't stop it. I don't expect forgiveness. I just need you to know I regret it." I read it twice, maybe 3 times. My chest ached, but not in the way Ellen's guilt trips used to hurt me. This was quieter, a recognition of truth that had always been there. He had known. He had chosen silence. And now, when the damage was irreversible, he offered sorrow like a bandage too small to cover the wound. I didn't reply. Not because I felt nothing, but because I felt too much. That night, Shannon called. "Your LinkedIn is blowing up," she said. "People are resharing, commenting. You've started something bigger than you think." Her words echoed in the stillness of my apartment as I scrolled through messages. Strangers telling me they'd endured the same. Stolen money, sabotaged careers, families who treated them like lifelines to strangle. One woman wrote, "Your story gave me the courage to close my parents' joint credit card. Thank you." Another, "You're making me believe I'm not crazy." I sat on my couch, legs curled under me, the glow of my phone soft against the walls. For the first time, my pain wasn't just a private scar. It was proof, and proof had power. I whispered it aloud, tasting the words like they might anchor me. This isn't just about me anymore. But then, almost as if on cue, a ping sounded. Julie's name lit up my screen, followed by 3 words that tightened my throat. "We're not finished." 3 weeks later, my apartment looked less like a battlefield and more like a studio. Sticky notes across the walls, whiteboards filled with arrows, Shannon camped out on my couch with her laptop glowing into the night. What had started as me clawing back my own life had become something else entirely. We called it Break Free, a campaign for anyone crushed by the weight of toxic family ties, financial abuse, emotional manipulation, all of the invisible chains people were told to endure because blood is thicker than water. I poured everything into it, my anger, my sleepless nights, my fear turned into focus. Shannon crafted stories, graphics, videos. Ryan from work volunteered design hours after seeing my LinkedIn post. Thompson, the very account Julie had tried to destroy, became our first sponsor, donating $10,000. The campaign spread like a brush fire. Stories poured in from strangers. My brother ruined my credit too. My mom emptied my savings for her boyfriend's debts. I thought I was alone until I saw your post. Each confession landed heavy, but also lit something steady inside me. We weren't isolated cases, we were a pattern. At night, I'd scroll through the submissions and feel the ache in my chest shift into something sturdier. Survival shared became strength. Ellen and Julie tried to counter. They posted their versions of events, painting me as a liar, a selfish daughter, hungry for attention. But their words rang hollow against the tide. Their audience shrank, mine grew. Every screenshot of their gaslighting only fueled Break Free further. Then, one evening, an envelope slipped through my mail slot. No return address. Just my name in a handwriting I hadn't seen in years. Shaky, uneven. Charles. I sat at the kitchen table, hands trembling, and opened it. Ilara, it began, I failed you. I let your mother and sister decide everything while I kept quiet. I told myself silence was safer, but silence is what hurt you most. I regret it. I don't expect forgiveness. I just need you to know I see it now. The words blurred as my throat tightened. I pressed the paper flat on the table, staring at it as if it could give me back the father I'd needed when I was a girl. Instead, it gave me something smaller, bittersweet, acknowledgement. I didn't write back. Maybe one day I would, maybe not. For now, the letter lived folded in a drawer with my evidence folder, a reminder of the damage silence does. Therapy helped me name it. Helped me see how Ellen's guilt trips had trained me to carry weights that weren't mine. How Julie's cruelty had been a mirror of envy, not truth. I learned to set boundaries, to say no without apology, to stop bleeding out for people who would never bandage me. Still, late at night, I sometimes wondered if Julie was lurking, waiting for her next move. Her last text, "We're not finished," glowed like a warning. I didn't know if it was a bluff or a promise, but I knew one thing. If she came again, she wouldn't find the same Ilara. One afternoon, Shannon leaned across the table, her eyes fierce. You realize what you've built, right? This isn't just your fight anymore. Break Free is a movement. I looked at her, at Ryan sketching logos on a pad, at the dozens of stories flooding our inbox. And for the first time since the night I lay curled on the bathroom floor, I believed her. This wasn't survival, this was rebirth. 3 months later, I stood at Portland International Airport with a boarding pass in my hand, the gate announcement humming overhead. My carry-on was packed light. Laptop, notes, a blazer that actually fit right this time. I wasn't running from anything. I was heading toward something. New York, a marketing conference where I'd been invited to speak about Break Free. The campaign had grown beyond what I could have imagined. Sponsorships, workshops, online forums buzzing with people trading survival stories like lifelines. Strangers who'd once whispered shame now shouted truth. And somehow I had become their voice. At the gate, I scrolled through the site. New submissions popped up every minute. Your story gave me courage to cut my parents off their access to my bank account. I thought I was broken. Turns out I was just controlled. Break Free saved me. I pressed a hand over my chest, steadying the thrum of emotions. This wasn't just my war anymore, it was ours. My work life mirrored the shift. Thompson renewed for another year, citing our resilience as proof of trust. David Hall, once skeptical, now introduced me in meetings with quiet respect. Ryan was my right hand, pushing creative ideas that made Break Free soar. And Shannon, my anchor, was coming to New York with me, notebook in hand, ready to capture the next chapter. But not all ghosts were gone. 2 weeks earlier, another letter had come. From Charles again. Ilara, I see the campaign. I'm proud of you. I don't deserve to say it, but I am. I hope one day you'll let me be part of your life again. I kept the letter, folded and tucked in the same drawer as the first. I hadn't answered. Forgiveness wasn't a door I was ready to open. Not yet. As for Ellen and Julie, their smear attempts fizzled. Friends told me they'd moved back to Los Angeles, still chasing red carpets that didn't want them. I didn't care. Their shadows no longer stretched over my days. The boarding line shuffled forward. The flight attendant smiled. Business or pleasure? Business, I said, then paused, a grin tugging at my lips. But it feels like liberation. I slid into my seat by the window. As the plane lifted off, Portland shrinking beneath clouds, I whispered to myself the words I wished someone had told me years ago. Family doesn't always mean safety. Sometimes it means chains. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is break free. The engines roared, steady and strong, carrying me toward a horizon that, for once, belonged to me.